And I would like to welcome everyone officially to our second webinar in the club development webinar series. This one focusing on growing your club through marketing and communications. It's one of 5 webinars that we're running in this series, tackling topics that we identified over a period of consultation with clubs across our region, tackling areas that matter to you at the moment. So we're really confident that tonight's content will cover issues that are relative to your club at the moment. We hope that you can take something away and implement it in your marketing and comms going forward. So my name's Tom. I'm a team leader at Sports Central, and we're joined tonight by Michael Flynn, who's also from Sports Central. And we've got 2 guest presenters who I'll introduce to you a little later, who are going to be touching on some individual topics as well. So it's going to be a really exciting session. A little bit of housekeeping before we do get stuck in. So tonight's session is being recorded so that we can make it available on the website going forward. We ask that you keep your microphone on mute throughout the course of the session. And if you do have any questions, can you just post them in the comment section on your taskbar, and then we'll get to them throughout the evening. Probably if you ask a question during a session, during a segment, we'll get to that at the conclusion of that specific topic. So as an inclusive organisation, Sports Central would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of land which we live and work on, the Wadawurrung and Dja Dja Wurrung people, and we recognise their continuing connection to land and waterways. We pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend this to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And for those who may not have worked with us in the past or have worked with us around potentially one area of what Sports Central does, I'll quickly give you an overview of who we are and the scope of work that we do. So we're a regional sports assembly. We're one of 9 that exist across regional Victoria, and our patch is the Central Highlands region. So our primary focus is around community sport development with 4 key focus areas, those being development and support. So initiatives such as tonight's webinar and the webinar series, working with the community sporting clubs and organisations to build their capacity to run stronger clubs and organisations. We have a specific focus on growing participation, with an even stronger focus on inclusion of people with disability, women and girls and younger people. We also have a focus on welcoming and inclusive sport and healthy and safe communities. So they're our 4 key priority areas, and if any clubs on the line today are interested in engaging with us around support services that we can provide you in any of those 4 areas, we really encourage you to reach out, and we look forward to working with you moving forward. So for tonight, we've got 3 key areas on the agenda. The first around building your brand, and Michael's going to take us through that. So that'll be around identifying really what the club's core vision and mission is, and how you go about identifying your target audiences and building that value proposition so that you stand out amongst the rest. We've got our second topic on online presence, and that's where we're going to introduce Wayne, who's the owner of Virtual Bean, to talk about his experience in marketing and his background in community sport organisations across marketing and comms. And then we're going to go into engaging your audience with a focus on increasing participation. And that's when we're going to hear from Kate Weadon, the secretary of the Drummo Dragons Basketball Club, about their experiences using a number of different online platforms and how they go about tailoring their messages to speak to the specific audiences that they try to engage with. So I'll pass over now to Michael, who is going to touch on the building your brand component tonight.
Thanks, Tom, and welcome everyone. Really appreciate your involvement and participation tonight, and hopefully, you're able to get some great takeaway messages out of the session, and don't be afraid afterwards to be able to reach out to us with any follow-up questions that you may have on any of the content or the questions that have been raised tonight. Specifically relating to building your brand, so what we're looking to do with this component of the session is to really set the scene, to really help you set the foundation for what it is that you're looking to do and all the activities that then flow from it. We'll just quickly have a look at the results of the survey that have been completed so far. So we've asked the question, what are you looking to achieve through your marketing and communications? Everyone's wanting to attract new members, which, it's overwhelming and not a surprise there. Looking to grow profile as well, communicate with your members, share stories of success as well, promote activities, develop your brand. There you go. So overwhelmingly, everyone is wanting to use their marketing and comms activities to get more people involved in their club, which makes a lot of sense, certainly, and to grow your profile as well. Certainly coming through really strongly as a trend there. So that gives us a good sense of what the motivations for your attendance are, and certainly our content does align with that quite closely. So hopefully, we'll be able to answer those questions and give you some takeaways that align with that, which would be great. So first thing I want to raise tonight is around really knowing and owning your purpose, and making sure that you use that to align with your marketing and communications content. It's really important that there is alignment. If you've got an organization's strategic plan, or you've got a pre-existing mission, vision, and values for your organization, it's really important to be able to align your messaging and your marketing and communications content with that strategic direction of your organization. With the mission, it is your purpose. It is why you exist as a club, and it's really important to make sure that is a consistent theme throughout your communications, that you're driving that home and using that to help shape the content that you create. The vision being your direction and your aspirations. So if you're aspiring to a particular destination or a particular achievement, then your marketing and communications plan will certainly help you to be able to work yourself towards that and get your club moving in that direction. And your values as well, really, they're what your club stands for. They act as a really strong sounding board for your club in your decision making, and also your themes that you try and drive through your messaging and the content that you put out there. Those three elements are really strong reference points and should be really consistent points to help guide and shape the types of messages and types of communication that you develop as a club. It also gives you the opportunity, if you've got really strong, consistent themes around your direction and your strategic framework as an organization, it acts as a really good opportunity to showcase and celebrate what you are all about, and to use it to strengthen potentially sponsorship proposals, grant applications, media releases. If you're able to align back to those key strategic framework that you've got as an organization, then it'll certainly strengthen your messaging and allow you to be more consistent in the way that you go about it. It'll also help to demonstrate your professionalism as well, and that you're a well-run organization, you're a well-run club. So really consider your purpose, your mission, vision, and values in your messaging from the outset, and have that consistently used throughout your organization. We will provide a resource that will be available to you. This references the session that we ran last week around building your mission, vision, values, and your strategic plan. So there will be a resource that we'll share with you to help guide if you don't have those already in place, or if they need a refresh. It'll give you the chance to be able to make sure that you've got those as part of your plan moving forward. What are they saying about us? This is about getting a really good understanding of what your current brand is. If you can answer the question, that you know what your brand is within the community, then that's a really good start in terms of being able to set that foundation of the direction you want to take it and the types of marketing and communications activities you want to do into the future. If you know what your current brand is, you know what the community perception of your club or your organization is, that will certainly help in terms of going from where you are right now to where you want to go, and the types of the different strategies you can take and the different messages that you can use. It's really important that you know this and know your brand, your current brand equity within the community, to be able to set the direction of which way you want to take it. If you know the difference between your current brand and what you want it to be, it'll certainly help inform that plan. It's also really important to take a look around, not only look inside your own club and your own organisation around the way that you go about it, but also look at your competitors. Look at potentially consider doing a formal or an informal competitor analysis. You probably compare yourselves against your opposition all the time. But what can you learn from that experience and learn from the others potentially off field? What are they doing well, and what can you potentially learn from? I might just go back. Can you just take that back for me, Tom, please? What are your competitors? You've got competitors in place for your players, your members, and your sponsors. So you're really competing against other organisations in the marketplace. So it's an opportunity to observe and see what others do well, to be able to learn from them. There aren't a lot of new ideas in marketing and communications, but there's the same ideas can be done quite differently. So it's important to learn from the best, and also to recognise what you do well. Also, what can you do better than another organisation? What assets do you have within your club, or on your committee, or within your membership that you can leverage and use to your advantage? Do you know someone who's potentially a graphic designer or a photographer, or has the skills to conduct some, to record videos and edit videos? Do you have young people within your club that want to get involved in something and are really tech savvy? Young people it's second nature to the young people in our club, coming up through our club, to use and interact with technology in a really cutting edge way, and potentially that might be an advantage that we can make the most of as a club as well. Just going to show a video now which really succinctly summarises the different markets and different segments within the market that we as clubs and as club volunteers and as committees are potentially going to be interacting within our roles, and the people that we're trying to attract to our clubs. So we'll just play this video now, and it'll hopefully give you a really good summary of the type of thing that you can be thinking of to take your marketing and communications forward.
All over Australia, strange things are happening at our sports clubs. The goalposts are shifting. Club membership is stagnating, and in an effort to attract and retain members, changes must be made. But what can you do? These days there are more entertainment choices, more sports, and more demands on our time and our money. Our population is changing, and we have very different lifestyles. Yet, against this backdrop, there's been a spike in sports participation. Not through clubs, but through things like running with your iPod, social group cycling, going to the gym, or seeing a personal trainer. So how do you, as a club, get a bigger slice of this increasingly fractured market? To find out what influences people's decisions around club-based sport, the Australian Sports Commission and GfK Blue Moon did some research with both adults and kids. With adults, we found most people fall into 10 basic groups when it comes to sport. The loyalists, the socially engaged, the sport-driven, and the apathetic clubbers. Then there's the sideline sportsters, the club-wary, the ponderers, the self-focused, the sport-indifferent, and the sport-atheists. 40% of non-club members aged 14 to 65 belong to a club at some point. So there's a chance to re-engage with these people on some level. And a quarter of Australians aged 14 to 65 who aren't members of a club have expressed interest in joining one. That's 3.8 million people who potentially want to be part of club sport. So how do you tap into them? Firstly, you need to understand the main concerns adults have with club-based sport. One is inflexible schedules, clubs being too cliquey, leaving people feeling excluded. Another is the cost, and limited opportunities for beginners. When it comes to kids in sport, The research identified 6 basic types: the social loyalists, the sports-driven, and the apathetic clubbers. And then you have the thrifty enthusiasts, the ponderers, and the sport-resistant. Over 50% of kids who aren't club members now were once part of an organised sport, and 46% would think about joining a club if activities were better suited to what they wanted. These non-club members make up 1.1 million potential new recruits. The research found while some kids love the competitive side of sport, many others don't. So to attract and retain kids to your club, here's some stuff to keep in mind. Create an environment based around fun, enjoyment, and being with friends. Value each and every player and give everyone a chance to join in, regardless of ability. And offer flexible membership options for kids and their parents. So how can this research benefit you? Well, it might help you think outside the box to improve how your club operates. Be flexible. Cater to different groups by developing new ways to get people involved. Create alternative forms of your game that focus on fun and enjoyment rather than competition. Changing the rules might be one way of doing this. Let friends play together if that's important to them, rather than trying to separate them based on talent. Schedule your sport at different times of the day and week. More teenagers might get involved on a weeknight than a Sunday morning. At your end-of-year presentation, have a social night to celebrate participation and your volunteers as much as you celebrate success. Ask your members about any issues at your club. By addressing the concerns, you can start to focus on the opportunities. Small changes now can make a big difference to your club later. Need some help with your ideas? Visit ausport.gov.au/market segmentation to access research and support materials, including presentations, fact sheets and case studies. The goalposts for clubs may be shifting, but armed with knowledge, ideas and commitment, your club can kick some serious goals well into the future.
So hopefully that's given you a really good snapshot and summary of ways to be able to consider and to shape up the different segments and the different audiences that you're talking to and that you're potentially trying to attract to your club or your organisation. It's a transition now into really knowing your customer. Who is your target group? Who is the person that you're trying to attract to your club? Every one of you in the room said that you want to attract new members and you're wanting to get new people to your club. So it's really important to unpack and understand who it is. Who is that actual person that you're trying to attract, and where do you get them from? There are ways of being able to find out more about your community and to really know who is in your community and the types of demographics that make up the people around you. For a number of you, and for the majority of you, you'll have that community and those town, that it'll be either township or the suburb around you will be a really great breeding ground for attracting new members. So what do you know about the people within your community? What's the demographic? Are they young families? Are they uni students? Is it a higher or lower socioeconomic status? Is there a high proportion of multicultural people within your community? Is it retired couples or retired individuals? Even knowing that about your community around you and the people potentially that you have the ability to attract can give you an advantage in the way that in the types of activities you run within your club and the way that you go about connecting with them and engaging with them. The other important thing is to know your club, know as much as you can about your club and who makes up your club, potentially through club registration data, potentially a club survey, also the data that's collected by your sport, either by the league or by the state sporting organisation, will give you a good picture of how you compare to other similar sporting organisations or clubs like you in the same sport or potentially in the same community. Another important opportunity to be able to talk to your current members and to collect insights and information from them. Can you do a survey, get feedback, talk, have that casual conversation with parents and talk to them about what attracted them to the club, and potentially ways that you can do the same for other families and other people. A really good activity that is potentially an option for each of you to do is, if you've got a program that you're looking to promote, or potentially a new team or a new competition that you're looking to promote and attract players or participants to, is to create a profile of that person, to put a face and a name to that participant that you're trying to attract, or that player or member that you're trying to get to the club. Start to unpack what it is about them. What are the characteristics that make that person who they are, and why your program is something that might be attractive to them. So the example here that we've got is Katie. She's 15. She has played sport through school, but isn't playing right now. She goes to school and lives locally, and her parents are both really keen and supportive for her to get involved in sport. She hates competitive sport though, and really wants to play something just with her friends to be fit and active. She's a little bit self-conscious about her ability. She doesn't want to look silly by playing a new sport and not doing it as well as those around her. She's also a bit body conscious and worried about the type of uniform that she may have to wear. She also can't play every week. She has to work every now and then, but she really wants to be part of a team. So if we know that about Katie, what are some of the things that we can do to promote and make sure that Katie is aware that your program is for her? So some of the ways that you can do this is by promoting that it's fun and social, and really emphasize that in your promotion messaging and in the way that you promote the program. Include positive messages of girls enjoying themselves, having fun, that really reflect what the program's all about. They're similar. They have a similar look and feel to the way your program will ultimately run. Don't focus on the performance or the winning. Offer and promote flexible uniform options, and also flexible registration and payment options. Make sure that they're really clear from the outset that they're available for the participants. And then potentially you might look to really target and promote that through schools, through social media, particularly say Instagram. Encourage word of mouth through existing players, and to really promote to their friends to say, hey, we've got this great opportunity, we'd love you to come down and get involved. So they're the sorts of that's the sort of way that you can create a profile of the type of person you want to bring into the club, give a face and a name to it, and paint that picture of Katie and wanting her to join your club. And then that just helps to contextualize and make it real, and make it like you're having more of a conversation with that person to try and attract them to the club. Other things to consider with this, if you don't really know how to paint that picture, is to run focus groups, talk to existing members, potentially survey, and connect with the community. If there's a local school that you want to connect with, then go and see if you can get information, or get friends to go and ask those questions of their classmates or their friends, to be able to find out, okay, what are the barriers for this person to potentially get in that we could help break down. We will talk a little bit more about some of the strategies and the ways that you can connect with these individuals and your target group a little bit later in the presentation as well. It's really important when you're looking at promoting anything with your club. It's what is your value proposition? What is your point of difference? Really try and drive that home. Going back to that, what's your purpose and what are your values? What sets you apart? That's a really, really important aspect of promoting. You're fighting. There's a lot of noise. You're competing against your neighbouring club, a program down the road, something that's not even sport at all. So you've really got to identify what your value proposition is, and how you can cut through the noise to be able to sell your message. Is it about fun, fitness? Is it about success? Is it about reputation? Is it about links to the talent pathway? Whatever your value proposition is, really own it and really drive that home. And establish clear messages that you want to use repeatedly, and really be authentic and consistent with your messaging, to so they hear it once, twice, 3 times as they connect across a whole range of different platforms with what you're trying to promote. And just finally, it's really important from the outset, once you get a good picture of what it is you're trying to promote and who it is you're trying to connect with, set really smart goals. Set goals that are specific, are measurable, are achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And specifically, think about what it is that you can measure. Make whatever change you're trying to promote, make it measurable. If we're trying to increase our get new members or get more sponsors, then track from the start, how many members have we got, conduct the marketing activity, and then track at the end whether it was actually a successful campaign. Get that feedback from those that you were trying to attract, or potentially those that you didn't get, about how did it cut through? Did it hit the mark, and did it engage them to get involved? That's it from me. I'll pass you now back to Tom.
Thanks for that, Michael. That was really great. We're going to jump into the second section of tonight's webinar, focusing on the online presence of clubs, with a really strong emphasis on sort of social media and websites. So I'm going to pass over to Wayne Hines, who is the owner of a marketing and website development company called Virtual Bean, that's been around for about 15 years and works across a number of areas, but has a really strong focus on working with community sporting organisations. Probably comes through with Wayne's background as having really heavy involvement in community sport. He's been reading off sort of some of the roles that he's played within the community. He's been the former marketing director of North Ballarat Football Club's, the VFL team. He was the former president of Club Mud in Ballarat. He's a former president of the Ballarat District Golf Association. He's the current chairman of the Ballarat Super Golf Day, and he's a former president and captain of Ballarat Golf Club. So very extensive background in marketing and comms, and with a really strong focus on sort of community sports. So we thought he'd be fantastic to get along today to talk to you all about how to best utilise the web to leverage your brand and communicate to your audience. So I'll pass over to you, Wayne.
Thanks, Tom. Tommy, I would flick over so I can flick through. There we go. We got it.
Good to go.
We'll try. There we go. Beautiful. Done. Thanks, guys. Thanks for inviting me along. I apologise if I'm looking over to my side. Being a grapho and all that sort of stuff, I've actually got 3 monitors sitting here. So you're all over on this side, and I've got stuff on this screen. So yes, I started Virtual Bean back, it was actually 16 years ago. I've been involved in marketing for close to 30 years now, being involved in the car industry for quite some time. And it's given me a sort of a good picture of lots of different things. And I've had a big involvement with community sport, which has been a bit of a passion. Over the 16 years, we've worked with many different clubs to help them out achieve their online presence and getting important information out to their patrons or their members. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go through a bit of stuff here that I normally sit down with a new client, and these are a lot of the questions that I actually ask them. So it's questions that you need to have a bit of a think about for your own club. Now, whether you've already got a website or you don't have a website, they're still relevant for all areas. So why do I need a website? So it was pretty common, the answers that we got back in the original survey back at the start. But a lot of those items that we've spoken that were in that survey are basically what we've got there. So promoting events, keeping members and the public informed. You are trying to keep your members informed, but also you always need to make sure that you keep the public informed as well, because potentially that they're new members that are coming in, or they could be spectators or anything like that, people who want to get involved with your club. Sharing results, selling merchandise, promoting sponsors, sharing news, adding member benefits. So because I'm a member, what else do I get? Links to other relevant websites, and promotion of events and functions that you have within your club. As I said, if you've already got a website, is it doing everything that you need? Is it sending the right message out for what your club is actually all about? And as Michael said in his presentation, please don't be scared to ask other people's opinion. Go up to a member in the club. People love you asking their opinion on things, because people often give their opinions without you even asking. But yeah, don't be scared to ask their opinion, because they might come back to you and say, yeah, well, we were looking for an event the other day, but we couldn't find it, things like that. So if one person's got that issue, it's something you probably should take on board and, and consider the layout, the work, how it actually works within your site. So starting with some of the basics. Sorry, I must have jumped a slide there. No, we haven't jumped a slide. Maybe, okay, I've missed something out there. Okay, so there's a very interesting fact that it's around at the moment. I'm ex-car industry many years ago, but I still look after a couple of car dealers. And it's very interesting now that the salesman will actually say that a consumer will know more about a particular model of car when they walk into the showroom. So if I'm looking for a new car, I'm looking for that model. That's the one that I want. And I'll go and I'll read all the reviews, know all the specifications and do all that sort of stuff. I'll walk into the showroom and potentially know more than what the salesman does, because the salesman's employed to basically know basic knowledge about all the different models of cars. So that's a good analogy to think about. So think about that if someone's coming into your website to find out some information, do you have that information there available for them? Is it there that they can easily get to? Is it going to answer all of their questions? Or if it doesn't answer all their questions, give them the opportunity to ask a question via an online form or a phone number or something like that. So starting with the basics, number one, please have a good domain name. I've seen many domain names out there that are so long that you'd never fit on the side of a bus. So make sure your domain name is short, sweet, makes it easy for people to remember. Be direct. So, if it's a football club, put in there football netball club, put in there FNC, something like that. It's an abbreviation that everyone knows what's going on. And please, if you do register a new domain name, make sure you read it in every different way you possibly can. I'll never forget, I did a trip to Thailand many years ago, and we went to this art gallery, and his business name was Home of Art. His domain name was homeofart.com, where if you read it up on the wall, it actually said homeofart. So make sure you look at your domain name and make sure you look at every different way that people can actually look at it to make sure that you've got the right message there. Check out your opposition. See what they're doing. Michael mentioned this before. So go out there and actually see what they're doing differently. There may be some great ideas. How can you make it do better? So one of the things I always say to the customers is how can we make your website better than your competition one? Do you like their design? Maybe steal a couple of ideas. It's not stealing, it's called research and development. You're not going to go and duplicate their website, but it just gives you different ideas of different ways to look at things. And always keep looking. Once your website's live, everyone's always getting new websites. So make sure you keep going back there looking and checking out what's going on. The basics of a good website. Number one is consistent branding. So making sure that your logo is consistent all the way through. You keep the same colors, you keep the logos, everything stays exactly the same. And if you're representing a club and your colors are black and yellow, use black and yellow through your website. Go and have a look at what the big guys do. Like you look at black and yellow, the best football club out there, Richmond, go and look at their website. Their website is all black and yellow and white. So you make sure that you keep that continuity all the way through your website. Don't go in there and all of a sudden put a great big green line across there that says come to our special function tonight, it breaks the continuity of your design. So it's very important to keep that nice and clean. Keep your content clean and to the point. Nobody wants to sit there and read waffle. So just keep it clean, to the point, get the message across. Is it responsive? We'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Have great pictures. We'll also go into that in a bit more detail. Usability. One of my rules that I like to try and do with everything is 2 clicks to find everything. So you should only click on your website twice to find something. Any more than that, people have got the chance they're going to get lost. Give the consumer what they want. If they're coming in looking for how much membership is for your club, make sure it's very bang smack in your face. It's one of the most common things that you'll be looking for. Have people to maintain the website. So don't go and build a website and then go, there's our website, everyone runs away from it and leaves it there for 12 months and no one changes it. Have people there who have been trained up to maintain the website and keep it up to date. We have probably a large percentage of our customers who just don't have time to maintain their website, and we actually look after all their maintenance for them. And the last thing I've got there, which we'll go into more detail on as well, is analytical data, which is something that's powerful, very, very powerful information that goes into the back of your website and enables you to know exactly who's coming in, when they're coming in, what they're doing, and the time spent. Be responsive. That's one of the items that we meant. Now, if you don't understand what be responsive means, there's 3 different variations of one website. So that's the Port Arlington Golf Club. You'll see it on the left-hand side. That is the PC version. Now that will actually even go out. I'm sitting here at the moment in front of a 34-inch monitor. That will actually go full width of my monitor, even though you wouldn't look at a website in that width. You'll then look at the middle one there, which is basically an iPad view. So you'll see things have started to scale down. And then the last view there, you'll see that's mobile view. So that's using it in an iPhone or Android or something like that. So a couple of key things you'll look at there is you'll see, I don't know, can you see my mouse moving there, Tom? You can? Okay. So you'll see these 2 pictures here. Once it goes into mobile state, the 2 pictures then stack underneath each other. And the same thing here with the stories, the news stories that are sitting there, they stack underneath each other once it goes into a mobile state. So that's what mobile responsive means. The importance of responsiveness. Now, this is some data from the Ballarat Golf Club over the last 12 months. So this is basically telling us how many users they've had on the site and how many sessions. Now, a user consists of an individual person. A session consists of how many times the website's been hit. But what I'm trying to get over here is have a look at the difference. 61% of people are hitting the website on a mobile phone. 32 are on a computer and 6% are on a tablet. Now, the stats on this is a little bit skewed, which I'll show you shortly why that actually happens, but they do get a lot of people coming in via mobile phones. So mobile phones are a very, very important part of your getting your website up and running, there for people to actually look at. Great photos. What can I say? The amount of photos that I get that people say, oh, can you stick this photo on our website? And it's literally this big. And then you try and you can't make a photo bigger. So you've got to start with a big photo and make it smaller. So if you're trying to do a massive big, if you're trying to do something quite large, Port Arlington Golf Club actually had a professional photographer there for 9 hours one day taking photos. Now, I know a lot of your clubs don't have the money to be able to do that, but don't be scared to go out there and ask. You've probably got people in your club that have got a fantastic SLR sitting in the cupboard at home. And if you ask them to go out there around the club and take 100 photos for the day, and you put 5 of those on the website, they'd be as proud as punch. So don't be worried about asking your patrons that are already there. One of the things we actually do quite regularly at the golf club, at Ballarat Golf Club, which I'm still heavily involved with, is we run a photo competition, an Instagram photo competition. So we don't take the photos, we put it out there and we say to the people out there playing golf, take your camera out with you, or your phone. Most people have your phone nowadays. Take your phone out with you and take some great shots. We have got 5 absolute fantastic shots that we use in a lot of our marketing that we basically paid the people with a round of golf. We got them for basically nothing. So don't be scared to put something like that out there. And we run that on Instagram, and we say, for the month, for this month, get out there and take a photo. And the five best photos will give you a free round of golf, and anything for free, they'll do it. And they're just out there taking photos. A very quick lesson that I normally tell people when they're taking photos, most of the time now, is with their mobile phones. Line up your photo and then take 4 steps backwards. Because everyone nowadays, when they take a photo, all of a sudden they crop it in to make sure it fills up all the screen. Never ever works for a website. So get your photo ready and then take 4 steps backwards and leave plenty of space around the outside. You'll see when we show a couple more shots coming up in a minute, you need to have lots of width when you've got photos that are actually running. So just be conscious of that and just say, take 4 steps back after you've framed your photo up. One of the biggest things that we've been able to utilize a lot more now is video within websites. And the ability of that is, well, the reason for that is that people's internet now is a lot quicker. So a lot of us now are on NBN, and we don't tend to get that lag when we load videos up. So like, this is a Port Arlington, this is their opening screen. So once again, these photographers come out, a videographer come out with them as well, took this fantastic video, but that's something that can be added into your website as well. And that video there actually sits on YouTube, and then we feed it back in from YouTube directly into the website. Now that can be used as an intro there, or it can be used throughout the site in different areas as well. So you can have video, you might just have a quick snapshot from today's game and just put a 3-minute, collage up there of some of the stuff that happened in today's game and drop it up onto your website. But because you're putting it onto YouTube, you're not jamming up your website with massive lots of space. You're stealing my thunder here, Tom. Don't go too far out. Thank you, mate. Okay, so the next one is that we just flipped past a second ago is a news feed, using a news feed. These are quite powerful. As if you've been involved with your club for a bit of time, you'll hear the standard answer come back from members. Oh, no one told me about that. Oh, I didn't know that event was on. Oh, why weren't we told? And you can pump it out as much as you can, and people just don't look at it. So that's a news feed. So what happens there is their news items that pop up. So currently at the moment at the golf club, they're running the annual tournament. You click on that and that will actually go through and show you the daily results. That's the event from the weekend. But what can also happen there, an event that's on there, you can actually have it pop open. There's your report about what actually happened, and then actually drop a photo gallery in there as well. So you can have lots of photos, creates a lot of interest. This story here, this is back from 2020. This had 29,000 page views. I checked that today. So it's basically, because it's ALPG, the girls are a great source of, they just keep coming back looking at things, and it was fantastic. One of the things we actually did do, as I said a minute ago, was that people say, oh, no one ever told me that. This here, if you're a golfing member, is very, very important. So our members actually come in here and they log in to book their round of golf. So what we've done strategically there is place that very important thing that all members need to go to directly under the news source. So when they come in, they see the news before they actually log in. So there's no excuses that they shouldn't miss anything out. Promote your sponsors. You know how hard they are to get, you know how hard they are to keep, but they are a very, very good income stream if you can get a great, a good, consistent lot of sponsors. So on your website, promote them. And what you can also do there is click, so that when you click on their sponsor, that will actually go back to their website. And what we'll talk of a term in a minute called SEO. That's a big, big, big advantage for SEO, which is your search engine optimization. So promote your sponsors. And we're going to talk shortly, Kate's going to talk shortly about social media, but social media nowadays is a very, very quick, easy way of getting a message up online for people to actually see. So why not incorporate that into your website? So this here is a social media feed. So anything that goes onto the Facebook page automatically drops straight into the website. No more hands on it. It just does it automatically. And it's there and it's on the front page of the website. And it's another bit of news information that's up there. Sell your products. So no doubt, I'm not sure with all of your clubs, a lot of you probably do have merchandise. There is very, very cost-effective ways nowadays of selling merchandise online. We use a couple of different methods, but we can get the Sebastian Footy Club here. The one that they're using is costing them about $11 a month plus the transaction fees. So it doesn't cost much at all to get your products online. People can order them. Now, they have a bit of an interesting system where they basically take all of the orders, then they take them off to the manufacturer. They manufacture them all in one big bunch, and then they basically distribute them back out. But they have some time frames on this when you can actually order. But it is quite easy now to actually get your products online. Two more things to go, the nerdy stuff. So I've gone through a lot of the sort of the basic stuff there, but you've got to consider if you don't have a website, you're going to need to buy a domain name. You will also need to pay for hosting of your website, and that's an annual fee. Your domain name is normally a 2-yearly fee, so yeah, every 2 years you'll pay for that. Another term that we quickly used there a minute ago, I'm only going to brush over these things, but I'm more than happy if someone wants to come back and get more detail, just ask. That's no dramas at all, is SEO, which is your search engine optimization. That's getting you onto Google and getting you to rate highly on Google so that you get up nice and high that people can actually find exactly what who you are and what you're offering, and then they click through to your website. They also mentioned analytical data. That's another thing that's actually offered by Google. So it actually gives you a snapshot of what's going on your website. Those stats that I showed you just before for the mobile responsive stuff on the Ballarat website, that's where we get it from, as analytical data. So it basically has all that sort of stuff there. We can actually even watch people on the website live and see where they're going and what they're clicking on. We don't know who they are, but we can actually see what they're doing. And it's some very, very powerful information. If you have it now on your website, spend some time and have a bit of a look through it, because you will learn a lot of things about your website. And one of the last things is avoid one of the biggest traps that I see. Avoid using a lot of those free online website building products. There's things like Squarespace and Wix and things like that. Yes, they look great. Yes, they're very quick and easy to get a website up and running. But the thing that probably a lot of people don't understand is it's not for free. You do have to pay if you want to have an ad-free website, which they will drop their ads in. But the biggest thing is you lose all the intellectual property of all of your images on that website the minute it goes on the website. So everything you've got up there, you lose complete copyright to whatever that image is, and it then becomes property of theirs. We've had lots of clients who have gone and built websites and then come back and we've actually built one for them later. So please avoid that. One last thing I'd like to leave you with. Many years ago when I was in the car industry, I remember my boss, probably if you're from Ballarat, I worked at Peter Stevens, and actually was Peter Stevens himself, walked back into the showroom one day and said, I've just been to this amazing seminar in Melbourne, and I've booked the guy to come down and talk to all of our staff. And with that, he handed out business cards to all of the staff. And it had the guy's name, which I don't remember, but his title on his business card was Wow Expert. So everyone looked at this card and thought, oh God, here goes 2 hours of our life that we'll never ever get back. Well, I'll tell you what, it was one of the most powerful things that I've ever sat there and listened to. And his philosophy was, if you can have your customer, or in your case, your member, walk away from your website, your social media, your club rooms and go, wow, that was pretty cool. They'll go home and they'll tell 2 or 3 other people. Now, if they have a bad experience, they'll go and tell 10 people. So concentrate on those, giving them those little wow factors. Now, I know wow's not the word that all the young ones use nowadays. There's lots of other words, but think of it as what can we do to make them walk away going, wow, that was pretty good. So we've only skimmed over the surface, but as I said, I'm more than happy. If anyone's got any questions, now or even later on, I'm more than happy for my details to go up there, drop me an email or give me a phone call, and we might be able to help you out. Thank you, Tom. I'll hand back to yourself.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Wayne. We don't have any questions in the chat box at the moment, but if anyone does have any questions for Wayne, feel free to post them and we can get to them at the end of the session. But that was awesome. Some really good insight and validates the reason behind all clubs needing to have a really good online presence, particularly websites that are well kept and up to date. So we're going to now dive into the last session of tonight, the engaging your audience. So we've touched on building your brand and then building the structures behind your brand that create that online presence. But actually now we're going to dive into what it takes to engage that audience. And we're going to do a little bit of a focus on engaging new members for the club, which is really positive to see that earlier in that survey that everybody was indicating that they want to be recruiting new people to the club. So that's fantastic. But if you're all able to quickly grab out your phones or open up a second web browser, it'd be great if you can quickly jump in and answer this question to give us an understanding of what online platforms your club is currently using. We feel like we'll have a good understanding that most clubs will have a Facebook account, potentially a website, but it'd be really fascinating to see what every club is using in the room tonight. So yeah, not surprising that Facebook and websites are taking the lead. Instagram is becoming more and more popular, and we'll touch on later sort of the different audiences that you'll look to engage through using Instagram. Team app, time and time again, a really good, consistent platform for communicating critical messages to your entire membership. WhatsApp, it can be used pretty much the same. Twitter, not so much. We've got a little bit of use with YouTube, fantastic for sharing video content. No clubs delving in the TikTok space just yet. We'll see how that evolves over future years. But perfect, yeah. So not surprising there that Facebook's leading the way, and there are many different ways in which clubs can use Facebook that we'll touch on later down the track. So really good to see that coming through. So we'll now dive into actually how you go about engaging your target audiences. So through Michael's presentation, we identified our purpose, our value proposition, and that point of difference we have as a club that's going to make us desirable to that person over our neighbouring clubs. But one of the most critical steps as a club is to identify actually who's going to take the lead to coordinating and managing our marketing and comms. And that doesn't need to be one specific person, and it probably shouldn't, given that the skills required to, say, manage the communications that go out via email to the entire database versus the skills that it takes to whip up potentially some short, sharp and snappy social content can be very different skills, and we might have different people within the club that suit both those different roles. So traditionally we see a lot of clubs going down the line of handing all of the social responsibilities and the communication responsibilities onto your secretary, whereas we'd encourage, if you've got the luxury of more volunteers within the club that are willing to support in this space, really dividing the responsibilities out so that you can identify people that have the right skills required to do the jobs required within the variety of roles across marketing and comms, and getting your younger members at the club involved in social media and content development can be a really good way to get them sort of dipping their feet into volunteering within the club, and can be a good way to recruit new volunteers. Once you've sort of determined who is going to be leading this piece of work, it's critical that you identify the platforms that you're going to be utilizing and the resources that you're going to be using to actually roll out some of the content that you're developing to get your messaging across. So we'll just look at a breakdown here of the various platforms or some of the platforms that are available out there that we see frequently used by clubs. The first there being Facebook, that not surprisingly 100% of the clubs in the room tonight are using. Really interesting, or not interesting, and probably not surprising to see that that's the most prominent one used by individuals in the space, but fascinating to see the age demographic that traditionally uses that platform. So you've got to be conscious that those ages 25 to 34, that's traditionally potentially a senior membership base or the parents of young juniors. So consider when you're putting your content out through Facebook that you're going to be communicating to that audience. Then versus, say, if you go over to that grey bar where we're talking about Instagram and you're starting to get an age demographic slightly younger, that's where you want to potentially pitch your content to that junior membership base, but also potentially change the way you go about displaying and delivering your content. If we continue working through the Facebook bar there, down the bottom, really interestingly, one of the most significant downsides to the use of Facebook is that it does have a limited reach and can often be unknown by some Facebook users around the challenges that you actually do encounter when trying to reach your audience, which may be all of your followers. So Facebook has an algorithm that actually restricts it from all your content actually getting into the hands of all of your followers. And they do that deliberately to encourage you to get paid advertising of your content. So you need to be conscious if you're putting information out on your socials that is critical to all of your membership, that potentially Facebook isn't the best way of going about it. But the beauty of Facebook, it does have multiple functions. So you could have a Facebook page that is potentially your shop front, that you display all your really good stories and the messages that really drive home your mission and your values as a club. And that's the first thing that people see when they Google who are Special Olympics Ballarat, for example. They'll get a really good snapshot of this is who the club is and this is what they do. You may have then a closed group on Facebook that actually then does post all of your content around, okay, everyone, basketball training's being cancelled tonight because of X, Y, Z. And that stuff goes into your group where people will have notifications turned on and everyone's receiving that information and they're getting access to it. I won't dive any further into that because I feel like I'm probably treading on the stuff that Kate's going to talk to with the fantastic work that the Drummo Dragons do. But yeah, just really important to be aware of the fact that Facebook pages can be really good assets, but need to be used in the right fashion. Then as we sort of work through that list there, interestingly to see sort of low user rate across, say, your Twitter platform, not traditionally used by clubs, but if you are potentially looking to engage with sort of older males, whether that's a cohort that you want to attract at your club, Twitter could be a good avenue to go down, with that being the primary cohort of users. Through then to sort of Instagram, and then TikTok, the big emerging player in this space that kids are all over. I've got no idea how to use it and what actually goes on there, but it probably will have a role to play in marketing within community sport later down the track, if not already. So then we'll go into some of, I guess, the platforms or the resources that are out there that can help your club create really sharp content for its website and for its socials. So fortunately, you don't need to have a graphic designer at your club to be able to produce really sharp content. As Wayne pointed out, imagery is key in the social space. It's the best way to get messages across, and sharp imagery leaves a lasting impression when someone's visiting your club for the first time. So we've got 3 examples of great platforms that can be used that all are free of charge in the first instance. So we've got Canva up on the left, which is a really good I guess graphic design type platform that gives you heaps of templates. You don't need to have any graphic design experience to be able to produce stuff that's really high quality. All you really need is the information that you want to display, potentially some imagery to drop in there, and away you go. You can produce some high quality stuff. And we might see later on some of the stuff that Drummo Dragons have used using Canva. We've also got Lumen 5 as an example down there as well. That is a video content creation platform. Again, you need very little experience in video creation to be able to use that platform and produce high quality stuff. Time and time again, video and photo is the way to get cut through on social platforms and on websites, as Wayne outlined. So use that and get imagery and get videos of your members doing great things and tell your stories that way, because that's the stuff that people want to be seeing when they go on their phones and they scroll through their feeds. And then the last one being WordSwag is, again, just another really easy sort of graphic design type platform that you actually use on your phone. So you could take a photo down at the under 13 cricket on a Friday night, and then open up WordSwag, put a little bit of text or spruce up the image, and then you can just load that straight up to Facebook. And it's a really sharp way to get an image up to tell a story to your members about how the cricket's going on a Friday night. So there are 3 platforms. If you're not using them already, I'd recommend just jumping in, having a look around and seeing if they work for your needs. And yeah, all free platforms to use in the first instance, which is great too. So now we've sort of worked through the initial stages around who's going to be delivering the content. We've identified our mission, our values, our value proposition, and the platforms that we're going to be communicating across. Now it's around actually identifying who that target audience is to attract those members. And Michael obviously talked about creating profiles around the type of people that we want to be engaging. And now we'll build upon that and delve into how we actually go about developing products that meet the needs of that person. So Vic Health released the Doing Sport Differently principles off the back of wanting to engage more people that weren't currently engaged in sport. And after consultation with that cohort of people, determine the key barriers that prevent them from participating in sport, and develop these 6 principles that any club can implement when looking to roll out a new program or a new team. Around these are some key considerations we need to make when we're looking to engage with that audience. And we're going to focus primarily on the first 2 points tonight, being engaging with our target market. So actually having conversations with the types of people that you want to be attracting and finding out from them what they want and how they want to be included and involved in your club, and what it will take to get them involved and included. And then the second, thinking about the participants as customers, and considering their entire experience from their first engagement through to the life of their involvement within the club, because that's how you attract them to the club and that's how you retain them. And then through their retention, hopefully you potentially recruit new people through their network. So we're going to quickly use an example of a club that we've worked with somewhat recently over last summer, around developing a new offering in the golf space, working with the Midlands Golf Club. They identified that they saw a gap in the market for offerings for people with disability wanting to engage in golf, and they wanted to fill that gap and provide an opportunity for people with disability to enter their club, and potentially then through this initial introductory program, potentially look to enter the club as ongoing members and be able to play more golf at Midlands going forward. So they rolled out the Get Into Golf All Abilities program, which is an introductory 6-week program designed to be modified for people with disability in a really welcoming and inclusive environment. So the key considerations that the club made to design this program really successfully was, the first step they took was co-designing it with some participants that were potentially going to be involved. So they spoke to them around the ways that they wanted to play golf and the barriers that they may face when they're playing golf. So they created the program to be flexible. They delivered it at a time that suited the participants that they wanted to attract. They needed to make it inclusive, so they provided education to their coaches around welcoming people with disability and coaching people with disability. They kept it as cost effective as possible, because they knew that cost was traditionally a barrier to sport, to golf as a sport. They made an introductory program so you didn't have to have any experience to come along and play, which is another really important consideration when engaging this audience. And they focused solely on making it fun and enjoyable, so that the people that came along for the 6 weeks had a great experience. They built a really good connection with the club, and they hopefully then want to either come back and be involved in this program again going forward, or they've made a network of mates through this program to potentially go and play more golf with at Midlands going forward, and hopefully they've picked up the skills to do so. So some of the, I guess, the great outcomes that club was able to achieve through developing that initiative in terms of a marketing, a comms and brand building perspective was they produced a media release that went out to local media providers around the fact that they were launching this program. And off the back of that one-page media release, they were able to get really good traction in the local media, to the point where they were able to get an article in the Courier. They got Win and 9 News down to run stories on the initiative. They got the article shared on Golf Australia's website and tweeted through Golf Australia's Twitter account, and they got it shared on Ballarat District Golf as well. So it was a really good way to, I guess, build bigger awareness around the program that they were running, but also create a really positive association with the great work that the club's doing, and showed the community that Midlands is a really progressive, welcoming and inclusive club for anyone, and hopefully then built that brand of what Midlands wants to be, which is accessible for all and a really good place to come and play golf. And through running the program, they also obviously got a number of people with disability coming and experiencing the club for the first time, and with that comes their carers, their family, their friends, who are also then going to be aware of this really welcoming and inclusive club and potentially want to be involved going forward. So that's potentially that wow factor that Wayne was talking about. Wow, look at the great work this club's doing to be welcoming, and that might have the flow-on effect to more people wanting to be involved. So that's a little example of how you can create a new program. The concept can be applied across all different cohorts, not just people with disabilities. So I guess we want to take away that thought around how you can modify everything through the design phase of any new program or team, so that you can make it inclusive of whoever you're looking to target. I'll now pass over to Kate from the Drummo Dragons, and she's going to take us through some of the initiatives that their club's done to engage people across the various platforms that they operate through. So over to you, Kate.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I'll try and do this quickly because I'm mindful of the time, but I just thought I'd bring a perspective from a volunteer-run club, a junior basketball club here in Central Highlands. A couple of things to consider is, one, we have a really terrible website. So we've focused our efforts straight into Facebook because we already had a small community. So I'm going to focus a lot of what I say tonight about Facebook. Two, we really took the time to experiment and innovate and notice things when that first lockdown happened. We knew that we really needed to keep our community well and connected, but we also needed to make sure we didn't lose members, and possibly we could even try and attract new members during that time. So for us, we really took the time to try and work out who we're sending our messages out to via Facebook. And in the end, we've come up with a page where we do a lot of our sharing of what's great about Drummo, and then we have our group where it's almost run like a bit of a community notice board. Our page is where we really experimented. Thanks, Tom. Our page is where we really got to experiment and see. We just took the time to notice. We didn't go in depth like what Michael and Wayne and Tom has mentioned. We just really struggled with volunteer resources. We didn't have the time or the capacity or probably the skill set to do that. So we just did a bit of a skim. And what we noticed is, as a junior club, we were really talking to mothers. Mothers made the decision what club their child was going to join. And so we really focused our messaging on that. So we focused on well-being. We focused on opportunities for growth and development and skill development and new friends. So you can see some of the wording in these posts here. They tend to sort of have more of an emotive kind of feel. And amongst all of those posts, we really focused on, well, we've used Canva in that first one where it says brand colours. We focused on bringing things back to our vision, mission, purpose, and our brand strategy. So we've used our Drummo colours, so it's really obvious that it's a Drummo post. We've got a call to action on most of those posts there. So we're asking them to go and do something afterwards, or if they're interested, there's the contact details to sign up or ask further questions. So it's all really clear on the post. So we've experimented with, you can see in the middle one, post there, some videos and digital storytelling. So we've got coaches speaking about how they love the club. We've got girls, because we've always really struggled with girls in participating in basketball across actually the whole region. So we've got girls' perspectives, and we've literally just used an iPhone 11, and we've used the editing tools on our iPhone 11 to put together some small clips. And the engagement success was incredible. And I think that's really converted our registrations to being quite successful this season. We have a lot of new girls joining us this season, and in fact our participation and retention numbers have sort of bucked the trend of what was expected of a 25% drop. So we worked really hard over COVID in both our page to keep spirits alive, to show what Drummo is all about, but also in our group. So if you go to the next, possibly the next slide, Tom. Yeah, so this is our group. So in amongst the group, we had wellbeing opportunities during that time and some online coaching opportunities. We've also shared jobs available within the Ballarat Basketball Association for our members, knowing that times were tough for a lot of our community members. And also we really focused on positive messaging, so like thanking our volunteers and just keeping that great community sense alive. We've also experimented with polls, so like voting for new uniform options. People, like Wayne said, people love to give their opinion, and it's a nice controlled way to be able to do that in polls and votes. And people just enjoy being a part of something. So so the community notice board, that group really focuses on our already members and just empowering them and getting them organised. But our page really focuses on spruiking Drummo to the potential participants. So if we go to the next page, Tom, some of the other apps we've used to engage with our audience is TeamPay. A lot of clubs have probably used that now. That's where we send our really formal correspondence, about uniform collection or new COVID guidelines. That's where we send everything through to there. And on our registration form, we make sure that people tick the box to say, yes, we have downloaded it, and yes, we are following Drummo on that, on Team App, because that's really important for us, and it really streamlines things nicely. Everything we do is virtual, and that's because we have a younger audience. A lot of the children that play at Drummo are, like 18 and under. So parents you can expect are from, let's say, from 28 through to 50 is probably our target audience, and most of them are fairly proficient with social media. So we keep everything virtual. Some of the other, thanks, Tom. Some of the other apps we've tried Instagram. Of course, our audience is very different on Instagram. We're looking at the younger audience there, so possibly our senior players who are 15 plus, using that app. So very different messaging required. And I guess it all comes down to resources as a volunteer club. You've really got to work out where you want to hone your efforts and what you've got available to use and what you can capitalize on to get what your purpose for using the actual messaging or platform is. So we've focused our efforts on Facebook because it is versatile and works for us. And a lot of these other apps are just very helpful. So we have teams that use Messenger and WhatsApp to keep connected and talk about game times. We use Try Booking for events. You know, if it's a free event, there's no charge. So Try Booking makes it really easy for people just to click a link and register. You get a lot of data. You can tailor it to how you like. And we use TeamPay to pay our weekly game sheets at games, and that is another fantastic app I'd recommend to have a look at. Thanks, Tom. So I guess our key insights over the last 2 years is social media is definitely worth the investment. We do have a very dismal website, but we did know that people are actually looking at our social media before they land on our website. So we put most of our effort in there, but we do need to have a look at our website. You do need to know your audience for each platform, and we've narrowed it down to Facebook is where it's worth the investment for us. And also people really like positive messaging. We find that the more we talk about success and say thanks, the more engagement we get. People don't tend to skim over the grumpier messages about, you know, make sure you're turning up for your game time on time, you know, those reminder messages. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is, as a volunteer club, that sometimes you just have to have a go. See, it's just have an experiment and really try and notice what happens. You know, often you don't have the time to do a lot of the in-depth stuff. It's really great to know it, and I'm really appreciative of knowing more now. But often at times I just have to do a quick skim and do the best I can in the time I've got. So just try and notice what's happening. But the biggest thing is to stay within your guidelines of your club's vision, mission and goals. Just always have that in the back of your head as you're writing a post or putting up a photo. Make sure that everything is guided by that vision, mission and goals, because it's your club you're trying to sell. And always have a call to action, because you might put this great post up, but if there's nothing like, okay, email here to find out more or to click here to register, A, you'll get bombarded with a heap of questions, which means more time invested as a volunteer, and B, you want to convert that fantastic post into something. You want people to join or whatever it is. So make it easy for them. And finally, I've just noticed over the last few days, we've had some security issues. So make sure your security is tight and make sure you only have maybe 1 or 2 admins on a page and everyone's on board with the same idea. People have different ideas about what might be great, but try and work together. So yeah, thanks, Tom.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Kate. That was sensational insight, actually. So hopefully everyone online can take a couple of things away from that. And yeah, I think it applies a lot of sort of the content that Michael and Wayne talk to in a really practical sense, which is where I think it can have great value for those in the room. So again, where we hope to provide more practical support is giving you all resources to go away with post the session tonight. So on our website from, let's say, tomorrow afternoon when this video goes live, we're going to be providing 4 resources. So we'll be giving you the report to which it will accompany that video that you watched earlier during Michael's presentation. that provides some fantastic insights into the trends in sports participation at the moment. We'll give you resources around the Vic Health and Vic Sport doing sport differently principles. So that can help shape up the way you design your programs moving forward. We'll provide you with a brand development guide and a SMART goals template so that you can be well on your way to developing really strong marketing and comms moving forward as a club. We did have one question, Wayne, that came through the chat function, and thanks to everyone for staying online a couple of minutes over. We are just about done, but we did get a question from Mary asking, what about the legal aspect of taking photos, especially of children? So if you're comfortable answering that one, feel free. Otherwise, I'm happy to take that either.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Mary, it's one of the things that we normally encourage people with the clubs to do now, as part of your membership form, is actually include in there a tick out box to say, are you happy for us to use your photo on member services, and put it in from there. When you get to taking photos of kids, I know, like, I've taken a lot of photos at the golf club with junior clinics and things like that. I walk along before I take my first photo and ask every parent. I just say, are you okay to take a photo? I think during the whole time I've taken it, I've had one lady say, look, I'd prefer you didn't, because it was a foster child. And so we just made sure we framed it out and to make sure that it wasn't there. So asking permission, look, 99.9% of the time, you will not have an issue.
Yeah, spot on. And with the child safety standards coming in, it's more important than ever that you just integrate those questions into your registration forms, as Wayne outlined, so that from the outset, you're getting permission from hopefully all of your members. And then just make sure you're storing those photos and using them appropriately, which is really important too. So
I'll just have one quick thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, just on what Kate was saying, like, social media is a very, very powerful tool to use. And one of the things we haven't actually spoken about tonight is what we call EDMs, which are electronic direct mailing. So things like to get the message out there. One of the things I normally always try and tell people to do is, once you get your website up and functional, have all of the information on your website and use your social media and your EDM as what I call the carrot. Dangle it out in front of them, give them some information about what you're saying, but try and drag them back to the website. So give them the basics of the information, click here for more details, take them back to the website. Because if they go back there, hopefully they're going to look at more information about other things as well. It's a great little promotional tool that works very, very powerfully well.
Yeah, fantastic. We have received one more question just in relation to what actually is appropriate storage of photos. So really important that imagery of your participants doesn't stay on any individual's devices. So really good idea to set up club email addresses or storage systems where you can upload any imagery to that and then delete it from your own personal devices once that's been done. So that's the most safe and secure way of storing any imagery. So hopefully that answers your question, Emma. Moving through for what the rest of the series looks like, we've got 3 more sessions. This one and the first session, if you happen to miss it, will be live on our website. So we've got the next 2 focusing around financial management. So next week on grant writing, sponsorship and fundraising, so generating really critical income for your club moving forward. The second around financial management systems, so actually how to track and record all of the income that you receive and the appropriate ways about going about that. And then last one on committee basics, so just understanding the fundamentals around governance within a community sporting club. And that brings us to the close of tonight. I want to thank you all for dialing in today. Hopefully you found it really valuable. I know I have, listening to Kate and Wayne and getting their unique insights into it. So thank you both for providing that. And we look forward to seeing you all online at future webinars. If not, please reach out for any support you may need from Sports Central moving forward. As I said, we work across a variety of different areas supporting community sporting clubs. So if there is anything you think we could support with, we're always welcome to have a conversation. So please reach out. But have a good night and thank you all for dialing in.